I want to go talk about we talked about in mining specifically how challenging some of it is. I think one of the first episodes we did with Beumer was about like shipyards, and that was a complexity because you got conveyors going over top of another conveyor. It was sort of like this, sort of fitting it in a space. That was a big challenge, and it was very interesting, and like dust reduction and things like that. But in mining, it's very much literally conveying it through mountains and down mountains and across it. Do you have any examples that are specific to that, maybe on the copper ore side, that are just sort of really significant challenges and really require that sort of that next level to get the job done in the way that the client needs it?
Yeah, I think, well, my response to that question, Jared, is that, mining projects are becoming more and more complex for many reasons. Uh, I think the public in general uh, does not understand the efforts and the time that it takes to build a copper mine from scratch,
Hmm.
and so there's a lot of push for extending the life of existing mines rather than building new mines. And with extending the life of mines comes lots of transportation challenges, because now they are expanding their pits or opening adjacent pits, and again this put pressure on the transportation needs of a certain mine. um, and I think what we're doing here and what we're offering here comes very handy for the time that we're living in.
So when these mines are expanding, then do they have existing infrastructure that is it a case of like in some cases repurposing, or are you referencing a complete redo, or both, of how they're set up?
Yeah, it goes. Every project is unique. Sometimes they can utilize existing infrastructures, or they can utilize, for instance, existing haul roads and repurpose haul roads to become,
Right.
conveyor corridors, if you like. But each project is a project.
Yeah, so I was looking at this one again. This is a really nice slide you sent. It's a copper ore project. It's 83,000 tons per hour, 6.7 kilometers long. I'll do my very non-engineer view of it. It looks to me like you've got, it looks like three or four different routes. Now I can't tell if you know the one I'm referring to. Are these decisions to make these routes, or are these different routes that you have to actually put in?
So that is a good example of optimizing a solution. So here we had a client that approached us with two possible conveyor routes. They were trying to connect, and again, this talks to the uh, uh, expansion or extending the life of existing mines. Here we have this client that has an existing processing plant
Mm.
and is planning on opening a new pit, and
Ah,
they want to connect the new pit with the existing processing plant,
I see.
and and they came up with two uh, solutions or two alternatives as far as conveyor route. And and one interesting aspect here is that you know Boima has all this focus on the civil 3D or the 3D topographic visualization of the conveyor routes and this 3D work, which is great. But we don't forget the basics. And here I'm talking about conveyor calculation basics, running
Mm.
your static calculations, running your dynamic calculations, and making sure that you have the best design choices uh, for a given application. And here we were able to, what we did for this given client, we were able to use horizontal curves that were more aggressive or tighter than the horizontal curves that the client had come up with originally.
Sorry, what is the
And
term? Sorry, what horizontal which?
horizontal curves.
Curves.
So this
Okay, yeah.
conveyor is horizontally curved, uh, and the client had, selected curves that were uh, maybe a bit too conservative. And
Mm.
by doing what I said in terms of doing the basics and doing your proper static calculations of a conveyor, proper dynamic calculations of a conveyor, we were able to use tighter curves. And by using tighter curves, we ended up saving a lot of earthwork. So we reduced the volumes associated with cut and fill by a great amount. And what's interesting here is that the savings that were achieved by reducing the earthworks were actually higher than the actual equipment cost. So this brings us back to kind of the very beginning of our conversation, where for long distance conveyors, the equipment cost side of things are typically not the dominating
Mm.
cost within a project.